Hello everybody! Today I'm going to talk to you about having plant-based coffee in Paris. For a vegan, it's pretty tricky to find good coffee in Paris if you're after something that's not black coffee. Simply because most people aren't vegan, and also because there is a less developed coffee culture than in some states in the US. London, I've got a message. Um, London and also in Melbourne and Sydney and all across Australia. Because I'm from Australia, I've got seriously high standards in terms of milk-based coffee. So I was quite surprised when I came to France because I always assumed that in Paris it would be similar standards of coffee compared to Italy. Because they're such close neighbours, but in actual fact, not at all. Not at all. So for a while I was struggling there, having some really, really shitty coffees. Mostly because if you ever did find a cafe with soy milk, which is quite unusual, it would curdle. It's quite disgusting when it curdles. If you don't know what curdling is, it's when it goes like solid like milk pudding, pretty much. Really gross. Not worth it. However, I've done a little bit of research and work for you to make it a little bit easier. So, the first thing to keep in mind is Starbucks is not a bad alternative. Yes, I would never have drunk Starbucks if I were in Australia, but in France it is an easily accessible, quite popular cafe that serves soy milk and coconut milk. The only thing being is that it's not terribly high quality and it's extremely expensive at Starbucks Paris. But other than that, there are a few little coffee places that I have found do not curdle the milk, don't charge too much money, and it does taste like a real coffee. Here they are. There is Dose. It's a really good place. It's nice and chill. It reminds me of a Melbourne coffee place, and if you've ever been to Melbourne, you know that that is the city for coffee in the whole of the world. They make excellent coffees. I had an iced coffee and I also had a latte, of course with non-dairy milk. It's a really nice ambience. You're in a nice area so you can go wandering around at the same time. But they don't curdle the milk at all, and they seem to be quite passionate about what they're doing. Another place is Blackburn Coffee. I've got a bit mixed feelings. I'm not really a huge fan of the ambience in the two coffee places for Blackburn Coffee. They've got Blackburn Coffee and Blackburn Coffee Show, which is a smaller place that's linked to a theatre. Both make really good coffee, which is oat milk based. And they don't charge any extra, it seems, for the actual milk. Yeah, the ambience isn't the best, but if you get a takeaway coffee, it'll be so worth it. Another place to go to is Loustic. Loustic is a great place for chais, especially. They're very sweet chais, but they're very good chais. Chais aren't very popular. Chai lattes aren't very popular in France, but they have them. And it's got a really nice ambience. So it's quite dark. There are a lot of tourists. They speak English. All these places that I'm mentioning speak English, which is fantastic. But of course it's good if you can try and speak some French because it shows that you're trying. Then there is Hardware Société, Hardware Society. There is one based in Melbourne and they extended it into Paris. There is a location in Paris. I personally haven't been, but I do know that they serve plant-based milk coffee. Another place to try is Lily of the Valley. Seems to be reasonably high standard, quite expensive, but just Parisian style. But they have tiny, tiny tables. It's very small. They've got two locations that both bit a hole in the wall kind of thing, where you've got very small place to sit. So if you're fat, you have to lose some weight before you go there. And they have all these different herbal teas. So if you're not feeling like coffee, there are plenty of options. If all of that doesn't work out, and those would be the ones I would try in order, well, then I would be going for Hank Pizza. They've got some, I wouldn't call them coffees, but they've got milk-based hot drinks, including a thick hot chocolate. So might as well try that out, and you can get pizza at the same time. Another option is Oatmeal Paris, which is a bit tricky. They're closed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which is a bit inconvenient, but they make pretty okay coffees. It's not top quality, and she does use, it looks like she uses a pod espresso machine, but she might not. But it's not the best quality coffee, but you can get different drinks. So you can get a pumpkin spice latte at certain times, and you can get matcha latte. You can get all sorts of different drinks that otherwise wouldn't be available. She used to live in America, so it influences how she makes the drinks. And you can get some really nice oatmeal, savory or sweet there. So I would definitely recommend that to check it out, but not for the coffee connoisseur. Otherwise, then you should check out Cloud Cakes, which I've already mentioned, which has nice cupcakes and nice cakes. You can get a chai or a latte and you will be safe. Other than that, there isn't much. There probably is a cafe that I have never been to that has amazing plant-based coffee, but that's all part of the adventure. You start off by having really shit coffees again and again and again. You start to give up, and then you find one or two places. I would recommend, if you are not in those areas, you don't want to search them out, just get an espresso or long black coffee. It's the safest option. Because the reason everywhere has so much trouble making milk-based coffees in Paris that are vegan is that the soy milk here is slightly different. I don't really understand why. In Australia, we sell Vita Soy and other brands that work perfectly well with coffee and that don't seem to curdle as easily. Here, they only sell either soy milk that has no flavour and tastes pretty much like liquid tofu, or you've got this really sweetened fake vanilla-y taste soy milk. Not good. So mostly those brands are all that they have available, so consequently it curdles all the time. So the places that have managed to get it right, they've either made their own milk base, like some do mixture of nut milks, or they find the right brands. But having said that, I'm sure that espressos across Paris are pretty good. I personally started drinking more espressos, and I can't complain. But otherwise, I've just got my Bialetti Italian coffee maker, and I just have that straight long black with a nice chocolate croissant. Anyway, good luck with your findings. If you've got any recommendations, of course, put them in the comments so that other people can find them out. And yes, keep drinking coffee. Enjoy.